to carry. So that's what's brought down in Shulchan Aruch. So then the Mishnah Berurah says on this halacha, going back to Sif Yudalin, and he says that as long as that this halacha is derech marbishim, eina love she'elam shematzili tinef. So he says, what does this mean? Says the Mishnah Berurah, shelav she, he puts it on top of his garment, on his regular clothing, kedei shelo yitamfu, it shouldn't get dirty. Aval became mutter, it's permissible, because we only allow a malbish, but this is only a protection of the malbish. It's still fine, it still suffices, it's okay. So he says, therefore, it's your moisiv on the malbish, that is fine. And he says, and not only that, the chain, and so too, says the Mishnah Berurah in Sifkat Nun Beis. He says, that the Rama says, beged mipnei hageshamim oikoiva, that it's okay. It also means afilu shemoisif lilboish beged nomala, even if he adds a garment above the begadav, rak mipnei hageshamim, only for the sake of rain to protect him. Ubilti ze lo yehoylach, otherwise you would not wear it. Kigon shu beged av vegas ma'oid. It's even back in the day it was like a coarse garment, it was heavy, it was thick. So therefore you normally would never wear it, or even the hat, this rain hat. On top of his hat, the halacha is shari, it's permissible, because this is the rule. This is the halacha, kiven shehu derech malbish. Because since it's a derech malbish, and as long as derech malbish, it's fine. Now this is what I want to get to, and this we're going to conclude with this halacha in Sifkat Nun Gimel. Beged al tzeifa hainu eino dim eino derech malbish, but if it's not a derech malbish, rak shemunach al roisha, it's only sitting on his head, levad k'moy b'chatichas beged, that we just said it before, beged pishton, then it's asa to wear. If it's just like a kerchief or something like that, which doesn't belong there, but if she girdles herself or wraps herself with it, then it is okay to wear it. Okay? And then it's okay to wear it. So the question over here we have that is, what's today? Again, today we have these new rain, I know it's called these raincoats with it's connected with the hat and it covers your hat and for the shaitel. But prior to that, we used to have even today you can still get a rain cover, something, a plastic that covers your hat. Would that be permissible? From this halacha that we see in Sifkat Nun Beis, that we pointed out in the Mishnah Berurah, that asal isha, or even Nun Gimel, that to wear just a seif, just to put on a towel or just something, just a garment on the head, it's usher. So from here, many Gedolei HaPoskim, and that's the Reb Moshe Feinstein and the Rabbi Yonason Steif, they all held that it's usher to go out with a nylon, as he says, with a hat cover, just only specifically with a hat or for a shtreimel or just for the shaitel alone, that would be prohibited. Why? Because the ikar of it is only to protect you from the rain and not to cover your garment, to protect your hat, to protect the shaitel. But that's not, he says, it's not a derech malbish at all. It's not begerach geder malbish. It's only it's a bag. It's a bag. So therefore, they held it's not miyuch. You would never wear it. Like we said, the idea of a malbish means that even at some time you would wear it. Like even we said a shepherd's cloth or something that even a poor person would wear. But a nylon or something you would cover on your head, you only wear it for rain. That says Rav Moshe Feinstein is not considered a malbish. And so to other poskim hold Rav Moshe Rabbi Yonason Steif. However, there are many of those who argue with this, and they held the Hart Tzvi, Reb Tzvi Pesach Frank, Reb Chelkes Yaakov Reish, Shevet HaLevi, many said that no, it's not so. It's not similar to the case that we just said that a woman just takes a beged, just a small cloth, and puts it on her head. It's not similar. Here it's cut, designed for the shape of a hat, which is a moisiv ala beged. So therefore, there are those who hold that it is considered a malbish gomer. So there are those who came up afterwards with an invention that even if you wear the hat, it hung down, the plastic hung down a little bit on the neck. So by hanging down a little bit on the neck, at least it protects part of your body. Like we said, that if it covers part of your body, it's good. And then afterwards, the invention came out that they came up with this new raincoat that covers that. That is great. That's l'chol hadeis is great. But even if, let's say, you just want to wear the hat covering, that it just goes with, covers the neck, definitely great. They wear today with the shtreimels, that they have it like that, it covers the part of the neck, it's great. But wearing the plastic cover for the hat or shtreimel alone, there's a machlokes haposkim. Obviously, for those who, wherever you paskin, then you follow whoever you refer to. But in any case, just to bring out this halacha, there's machlokes. But again, so to sum it up, there's a malbish gomer, which we mentioned, that's according to everyone, it's okay. Then there's a malbish that it's worn from time to time, so at least it should cover part of your body. And the third case was it's not malbish at all. It's again, then it's also to wear that at all, even just to take a plastic bag. If let's say you see you're stuck in a rain, just to take a plastic bag and there's no Erev, l'chol deis would not be okay to just take a plastic, because that's not a malbish in any case for no one. That would be usher. Yes, Shekoyach.
Another one?
Thank you. So Rabbi Philip, just to ask the question, it's pouring rain on Shabbos, Friday night, and I want to go home, but I don't want to ruin my hat. So I take an old baseball cap and I put that on that I would never wear during the week, right? Some tattered baseball cap and possibly with a logo of a team that I certainly don't want to have any affiliation with. Is that considered a plastic bag? Or is
The Rav is here. I just give the summary. The Rav paskins the
hat you can wear it. A hat is a malbish. It's just like something that only Royim wear. So even if you usually wouldn't wear it, it's a regular hat. So you can wear. So a hat only, much the same thing with a bonnet, a rain bonnet for a woman. So since it covers on the neck also, it's good. If it only covers the head, it's a problem. But if you wear a hat, any kind of hat, even usually when you wear it, that's what you say, like a thing from the Royim. So it's a hat, it's a malbish. A malbish is no problem.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Shkoyach, Rabbi Yossi.
Thank you. Okay, just quickly before we get to Simcha Rotman, who woke up in the middle of the night to speak to us. Today's sponsor of the program is the Gans family, Leilu Nishmas, Reb Tzvi, Reb Moshe, and the Lieberson families, Sheva Chayda for Kodesh Baruch Hu. Thursday on the program is Yom Kippur Cotton. If you remember from a month ago, we had, actually it was 2 months ago, I think, because we didn't have quite Yom Kippur Cotton for Nissen. But we'll have extended Tehillim and Tachnunim. Please make every effort to join us 7:25 on Thursday.
It's Tfilas Hashla.
Tfilas Hashla as well, in addition to the extended Tehillim. And we'll say Avinu Malkeinu also. Immediately following this program, the conclusion of this program will be Daf Yomi. We expect it to be around 8:15. Okay, if you want, Yossi, you can spotlight me, and then Simcha Rotman is unmuted, and we'll get him on in a moment. I'll just give an introduction about Simcha. He's an attorney, an activist, and an author. He is the founder of and partner in the Rothman-Lev law firm, which specializes in public and constitutional law. Rothman also serves as the legal advisor to the Movement for Governability and Democracy. The movement promotes public policy aimed at restraining the power of the judiciary and state and increasing the governance of elected politicians. Rothman lectures regularly on matters of politics, law, and the government structure in Israel. His first book, The Ruling Party of BAGATZ, How Israel Became a Legalocracy, about the so-called quote-unquote constitutional revolution in Israel and its detrimental effect on Israeli society, was published in 2019. The BAGATZ, I don't know where the noise is coming from, the BAGATZ, by the way, stands for Beit Mishpat Gavoa L'Tzedek. Here's a copy of his book. I don't know if you could see it. There you go.
Akiva, maybe you can unmute.
Akiva, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute everybody.
And then after I mute everybody, no, I got it. I see where it's coming from. I'll mute it. I see where it's coming from. There. Yeah, I think it's quiet. I know, Simcha, you're not unmuted. You're almost there. Simcha lives in Pnei Kedem. Yossi, if you could find that location where Pnei Kedem is, it's 3 a.m. He is not on the program because of his brilliance or his ability to write. The fact is he's my cousin, and that's not why he's on the show either. He does bleed blue and white, and that's not why we invited him here. The reason we invited him here is because he did me a favor. And in politics, as we all know, it's not what you know, but who you know. He got Carmela and I into the Knesset on our last visit within a few hour notice. Good morning, Simcha.
Good morning, good night.
How are you feeling? You awake?
Baruch Hashem.
Okay. Just to let you know, if Bibi Netanyahu calls within the next half an hour, please disregard the call.
I will. I told him to stop calling me at the strange hours at night. Not,
Thank you. So I don't get this. Israel is the envy of the world, technologically speaking, in agriculture, the building boom. It's the only democracy in the region. And yet the court system is flawed. How did it happen?
the court system is flawed, and it causes the political system to be flawed. We saw what happened in the past year in Israel. 3 elections in a row, you couldn't get a government, and people who don't know the system might think it's because of the political system. People don't get along, or something is flawed in the election system. Maybe you need to change the system or something. But actually, the reason is the judiciary. And the reason is the judiciary for 2 reasons. One is, you talk to me, I always blame the judiciary. It doesn't matter. But I can also see and show the problem. We went for the first election, for example. We went because of the draft law, the ultra-Orthodox draft law. That's an issue that Israel tries to solve in many ways in the past few decades. Imagine a burning, heated debate on an issue that can create instability, and did create instability in the political system. What do you do with a growing population of ultra-Orthodox that don't go to the army like everyone else? What do you do with this? You need to find a solution. You put values are competing. What is the value you put on Torah learning? What is the value you put on the army? What is the value you put on the partnership in the Israeli society? Whatever debate you want to have, and you find a solution. It's not an easy solution. It's a compromise, and that's what you do. And every time the political system in the past decades found a solution to this issue, the solution, you can argue if it was good, if it was bad, but you found a solution, you legislated the solution. The court says, oh, I don't like this solution, I'm canceling it, try again. Now, it happened 1 time, it happened 2 times, 3 times. Even a solution that Yair Lapid's party, Yesh Atid, were signing on, and the Haredim was willing to live with, the court canceled. Any kind of compromise. So you just reshuffle the cards every time you get to a solution. So you keep the debates on the most heated debate in Israel ever burning, ever live, and you can't solve any issue. So we went for the first election out of the last 3 because the time was ticking to pass the 4th draft law. So the Knesset is dysfunctioning. We had a 1.5 years with no functioning government or Knesset, and you couldn't find a solution. No, after you start fighting, you sometimes forget the reasons for the fight. You're okay. No, we started fighting on this issue, but now let's fight about this, and let's fight about this. Another issue that created instability is the indictments of Netanyahu. Indictments of Netanyahu, most of them are an unique invention to Israel of blaming politicians for getting good connection with the media. Now, the fact that you can have in most countries that I know of a criminal offense that appears in the books that can be so vague that any prosecutor can decide to put you on trial for any reasons that he sees fit, will be, and there are many examples from the world, it it will be unconstitutional for vagueness. You cannot have a vague criminal law, because then you create a tyranny of the prosecutors. In Israel, no, the court created it. It's a court-created offense. What happened? What they're trying to put Netanyahu on trial with. So you can connect all the dots and see that the political instability in Israel is coming from the judiciary, and I'm showing this part of it in my book. But so how did it happen? Why did it happen? So to say how did it happen, you need only two words. The two words are Aaron Barak. Aaron Barak was a chief justice in Israel, and he basically was he's still alive, but he's not part of the judiciary now, but he's a very talented person who put to his goal to have the term that he was using was Melo Kol Haaretz Mishpat. He used it in one of his I see the Melo Kol Haaretz Mishpat, and I see the people who have their camera on, like responding to this outrageous claim that Melo Kol Haaretz Mishpat. And he actually claimed it. He actually said there is nothing beside the law. Any action, any human action is justiciable. Now, anyone who understands the proper balance between even human rights, freedom of the citizens and the government, you understand that you don't want everything to be legal issue. You don't want it. No, there is no legal there is no legal test to tell me how large my smile should be to my wife before I leave the house. There is no legal, it's not a legal issue. I can be nice, I can be less nice, I might be good, I might be bad, but not everything is, and definitely not everything should be a legal question. Now, he applies it, of course, to private people, which is a major problem when you apply this kind of ideas to contract law. I also talk about it, write about it in my book, how you can't trust contracts, because when the law and the court system infuse themselves into the contracts that you make, and they say, oh, I see you signed a contract, but I don't like this, so I will change it. So what good is to have a contract when the court does it? But they do it also on the political system. They say the decision, and we had unbelievable hearing in the court 2-3 weeks ago, that 11 judges sat there and said, okay, we know you chose Netanyahu as your prime minister, but now let's rediscuss if it's reasonable that Netanyahu will be a prime minister. So a judge gets 2 votes, one like everyone else, and then after, if the choice is not good enough for 11 judges, then it will be canceled. And now we should all thank the judges for being so humble that they let us choose our prime minister and did not interfere in this time. So that kind of hearing, that kind of discussion will never be in any other court that I know of, because the issue of who you choose to be your prime minister is not a legal question. Now, Netanyahu's lawyer said it in the court, and the chief justice said, are you claiming, she was so shocked. She told Netanyahu's lawyer, are you claiming that it's not a matter of law and it's not a legal question? So he said, I think it's not justiciable. You cannot decide it. She said, yeah, but is it a legal question? He did not want to answer directly. He said it. He said, there are people that think that Melo Kol Haaretz Mishpat. This court apparently thinks that Melo Kol Haaretz Mishpat. She was outraged. She said, we never said that. But the debate, the hearing itself proves that they think that everything is law, that everything is justiciable because they did this discussion. So we said how it went. So Aaron Barak did it. He was a chief justice for, he was first a justice and then a chief justice for many years. And he shaped what we see now as the court in Israel. He created those ideas that everything is justiciable, that anyone can bring any case in front of the court. I can get up tomorrow morning and decide that I don't like the fact that Netanyahu appointed Amir Ohana, my good friend, to be a minister for Homeland Security. I think he's better that he will be the Minister of Justice, and I will go to the court and I will appeal, and that's a legitimate appeal in the Supreme Court. Of course, because I am coming from the right, my appeal will be denied, and I might be charged with expenses. But this is the legitimate appeal. There are appeals in the Supreme Court dealing with those kind of issues that I would think that any other court, you will not pass. Even the security guard in the beginning, in the entrance, will tell you, go away, it's not for here. But in Israel, there are cases like that. I can go to the Supreme Court without any written constitution or any written standards. I can go to the Supreme Court and appeal that a law that passed, I don't like it. I don't even have to show that the law hurts me. I don't like this law and I want it to be canceled, and the court will hear the case. So everything is justiciable. Everything, everyone can come to the court. You don't need a legal standing to come to the court. You can come whenever you want, and the court can give any decision to any public official to do whatever the court feels like. So that's a big problem. There is a big problem.
If I may cut in, could you? There's two examples that were discussed regarding, and thank you for that explanation. I mean, obviously, compared to here, till you get anything heard, and certainly in Canada by the Supreme Court, you have to go through huge amounts of applications. They don't even hear the cases. They really discourage people from becoming overly involved in the court system. They want the political system to play itself out. So what you're saying is that the will of the people is not being represented. It's really the will of the few. Also, if you can give some examples of recent decisions that they made. I know the Hamodia quoted one on May the 13th that really affected the religious community with the chametz in the hospitals.
Yeah, so I have to say that I tried, in my book, I tried to pick issues that are, and that every citizen in Israel, doesn't matter if he is right, left, or right or left, religious or secular, will feel the problem. But I could write a book describing the way, historically, the way the court acted on exercising its hyperactivism, and look on religious issues, because in the beginning, the court was the court tries to show to color its actions as a defense on the minority. That was, I'm defending the minority. I'm in the defense of the minority against the tyranny of the majority. That's someone is unmuted and is making noises. I'm sorry. So the court says I'm defending the minority, but actually, for the better part of its history, and even today, he actually served as a protector of the majority against the religious minority in Israel. Meaning, the religious minority in Israel could have gotten certain issues dealt with through the political system, and the court will say, I am canceling it, and this way the ultra-Orthodox and the religious in Israel, the religious people in Israel, will not be able to pass it again, because it would create, they will have to pay twice politically for every action, not once. Every political action has a price. You have to pay, you have to compromise. But every time you compromise, you get something, you give something, and then the court takes away what you got. So it used it mainly against the religious and ultra-Orthodox. The last example we see is about really the ability to bring chametz into the hospital during Passover. That's something that is we have in Israel. We have hospitals that are not run by the government, or that are main clientele is non-Jewish. So there is no problem. You can of course bring whatever you want, but the hospitals that are aimed for the Jewish population, that in Israel, a vast majority actually of the Jews in Israel don't eat chametz on Pesach. They had a rule: you can't bring in chametz to the hospital during Pesach, because otherwise it creates a big problem for the people there. It will make all the kelim unusable if someone is not careful. So I guess it's a very good thing to live in a Jewish state, that you can do it. I don't know what people do in Canada when they have to be in hospital in Pesach. I believe they have a big problem eating in the hospital anyway, because the food in the hospital is not always kosher. I don't know how it works, but in Israel, the food in hospitals are always kosher. You can get always kosher food in Israel. It's not a special request, and you don't need to have special arrangements for that, unless you keep certain specific hashgacha. But the regular hashgacha is you get in the hospitals, and bringing in chametz ruins it. And you see in the court, you see a division. There are two secular judges, one a religious judge, and that is the cut. So the decision, if you can bring in chametz in the hospitals, yes or no, it's not a decision that are accepted in the executive or in the legislature. The court accepts it, and then because you set to have two seculars judges and one religious, so that's the decision, and that's it. Now, if you want to change it, the political parties of the religious will have to pay a political price to regain what they had in the status quo from the beginning of the state of Israel. So you have to constantly weaken yourself politically if you're religious, because the court is always objecting to you. Now, I said before that Israel does not have a constitution. It's true, Israel never had a written constitution. But if you look at the definition of constitution and as constitution as a core agreement that lies in the basis of the state, in the founding of the state, the only real thing that we have that is close to constitution is what's called in Israel the status quo document. The status quo document that Ben-Gurion, before the founding of the state of Israel, there was a big chance that the UN and it was a question, who is representing the people of Israel, the Jewish people in Israel, and who can declare that he is can found the state of Israel on behalf of the Jewish people. So in order for the religious community, the large religious community that was in Israel, to say that Ben-Gurion is not representing us, we are a separate entity, Ben-Gurion wrote a document and sent them that the status quo in religious issues will stay, that the rabbinate and the weddings and the divorce, everything that we see in religious and in the matter of religious and state in Israel is based on this document of the status quo. What happened is the court time and again takes parts of these status quo documents, throw it away, and the political system needs to try to fix it. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't.
Simcha, I just want to get some people who probably have some question about the politics in Israel in general. Summarize, how do you see this playing out? How can the country really regain control over lawmaking?
So first, everything comes to political power. You need to have 61 Knesset members that are devoted for this issue. We had it for the first time. Actually, we had it in the first election of 2019. We had 61 Knesset members that support this cause, but we couldn't get a government and we couldn't get a Knesset because of the hatred to Netanyahu, which is a big problem. So we could get a coalition on this issue alone, but you can't build a coalition on one issue. So that's a problem. We need to have the majority to change, but when the majority will want to change, so what part of what we do in Meshilut, in my organization, is we try to get them the roadmap of legislation actions and other actions needs to be taken care of. So first, you need to change the way you appoint judges. The way we appoint judges in Israel does not suit any democratic standard. It's a committee of 9 that the politicians, coalition and opposition together, are 4 out of those 9. So the majority is of the legal profession, 3 Supreme Court judges, 2 members of the bar, and 2 Knesset members and 2 ministers. So in the committee of 9, the political system is underrepresented, and definitely, for appointing a Supreme Court judge, you basically need 7 out of 9. So the judges, the current sitting judges, have a veto of who enters their luxurious club. Exactly. Right. So that needs to be changed. You need to make it very clear that the last word on legislation is in the Knesset and not in the court. There are some vague terms in the basic laws in Israel that needs to be clarified for the court not to deal with it. You need to reenact or reintroduce to the court the idea of justiciability, of legal standing, of matters that are not to be determined by the court, the political questions and stuff like that. We saw recently the court interfering in who will be the Speaker of the House. We actually had a court-appointed Speaker of the House, which is unbelievably, that's really unprecedented in few levels, more than what we can even imagine possible in the separation of powers scheme. So you can't have a court-appointed Speaker of the House. We could have also gotten a court-appointed Prime Minister, which would be much more interesting.
So Simcha, is there any questions?
We need some rapid-fire Israeli interchange. We need some Ivrit. We need some action in Ivrit. Yes.
Or Sam is here. Meanwhile, till they find themselves, the book
is here.
Mifletzet HaBagatz. Did I say that right?
Mifleget.
Mifleget. I know. I was playing a term. Mifleget Bagatz.
But Mifletzet is even better.
Can I ask
okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, let me just say, since you're familiar with Israel, I have a cousin called Isaac Amit, who's one of the Supreme Court justices. He is Isaac Amit.
Yeah.
I've spoken to him about the Supreme Court. I've met him in his offices in Jerusalem. and had a long talk about what his opinions of the Supreme Court in Israel. It wasn't exactly like yours. Let's put it that way. That's not what I'm just telling you directly.
I'm sure.
We had a very open. I worked in the legal field. A very open conversation with him. Second of all, the United States, basically, the Supreme Court works according to the politicians that are in office. So therefore, you have there's more conservatives, they're conservative. The Republicans, they're Republicans. So even the U.S. Supreme Court is biased to whatever direction who has more members, either liberal or conservative. It's the same idea. There's no justice basically in the United States either with Supreme Court, because with them, you never know what they're going to do next, depending on which members are of which group. So if there's more Republicans, they're going to do what Trump wants, for example, which if they were more of the Democrats, they would go a completely different direction on many of the rulings. Canada's more simplistic. They're less biased. It's just they decide based on whatever they hold, but not, it's very general. But the United States is very biased, and so is Israel. Israel, basically, the only problem with Israel I found, and again, I've dealt with Israeli.
Moshe, we need the question. Is there a question?
Well, no. Well, basically, the question is, why do you think Israel's any different than the United States, for example? Canada is different.
So I think of course, I think that the court in the U.S. is considered quite an activist compared to other countries. So it's not that the court, Justice Scalia in the U.S. said that he never reads foreign rulings. He never reads foreign rulings because he sees his job as a Supreme Court justice in the U.S. to try to understand what the Constitution of the U.S. said, and how can he get ideas of what is the Constitution of the U.S. from reading rulings from France or from Germany. So he said, I never read foreign rulings. What's the point? I only read the rulings from the Israeli Supreme Court, because then I understand that we're not so bad. That's Scalia. Now, I'm not. It's a joke, but it's not a joke, because the Supreme Court of the U.S. is a problem. But if you I prefer a court like in Britain that does not decide on legislation, does not cancel parliament legislation, does not deal with value, does not deal with abortion issues or whatever issues that are matter of faith or values. Go according to the law. You cannot do your scrutiny on the will of the people. No one appointed you for that, and you have no expertise in that. That's my view. But if you decided for some strange reason that you want judges to decide those issues, and you gave them the power to do so in your constitution, two things that we didn't do in Israel, the court just took it to themselves. But if you decide, every country can decide whatever crazy ideas they have. So if you decide that, like the US did, then make sure that your judges are elected in a way that represent in some way the values. Because if you are trying to decide matter of values in the court, then appoint judges that you trust their values. If you don't want judges to decide matter of ideology or values, then appoint judges in a way, Israel appointment way is excellent for that. Why not? But don't let the court, and especially your cousin, to decide what my values. He doesn't have I don't trust him. The fact that he's your cousin, I'm sure he's a nice person, but I never chose him to the job because of his views on religion and state. I never chose him for the job because of his views of economy. I never chose him because of his views of how democracy, general ideas of democracy, core principles should play out. I never chose him. I never knew what his views are before I appointed him. And I never can, and I can't in the political system in Israel and in the appointment method in Israel, I can't kick him out if he makes bad decision, like I can kick Netanyahu's out if I don't like Netanyahu's decision. So he has no moral basis. How smart and nice person he is, he has zero moral basis to tell me how to live my life, and yet he does.
Let me leave you with
Okay,
one last
Simcha, thank you. We really, in our shul, the Rav Das Torah does have final say. That's what carries weight more than anything. So Rabbi Loi can give a bracha to Simcha, who's really fighting an uphill battle, but slowly but surely is making some inroads.
No, I want to thank you because all these years you always see how the court, meddles into religious items, and we always find them ruining things that are there already, and like you said, like explained so beautifully. So Ashrei Chelka, you're our shliach there, and if you could change that power, and Hashiva Shavteinu Kerishoina, and the judges should do the right things, and the judges should be, the right people, and the power should be. I don't know how. The question would be how you could change it if you could have a vote. The country could vote. But the power, like that's what they would do in the United States. They would vote if someone would want to change the power of Supreme Court. They bring it up for a vote. And but I think we as From Eden have to thank you. If you could have any inroads to take away the power from them, and the power should stay with the people who are voted in. And we have Baruch Hashem from members of the Knesset, and they could represent us. So you would be able to do a lot for the Rabbeinu Shalom B'Klal Yisrael. So I give you a bracha. You should be metzliach in what you're doing. You should be well together with your family, and everything you do should be with the koyach of Hashem. And we give you a big todah rabba for everything you're doing, and we should be zeichet to see together the Hashiva Shavtein V'Yishoina, to see the real Shoftim, the Bias Agula B'Meir B'Meir. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Simcha. Todah Rabba, Simcha.
Akiva, if Israel's ever going to be Ivdu Es Hashem, it's going to be B'Simcha.
Very good. Todah Rabba, Simcha. I'm going to show, if I can, I'm going to grab where he lives, and Daf Yomi will start subsequently. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rabbi Lowy. Thank you, Rabbi Philip. Where is it? Pnei Kedem, right here.
What's going on here?
Right, Simcha, am I in the right place? This is where Simcha lives. Whoop.
It's not far away.
Right.
I know where that is.
Yeah, it's near my house.
Right. I don't know who switched the maps on me, but you can look it up. Pnei Kedem. It's on the West Bank, and it's how many trailers? How many homes?
Now we're not on trailers. We are homes. We have 60 families here. Some live in trailers, but most of them are in houses now. 8 new ones. We might have more. Sadly, according to Trump's plan, we are one of the 15 areas that will be isolated balloons in the area of the future Palestinian state, but we still try to change that. So let's see. But then we will be we will live in a small area surrounded by everything else. But it's a very nice place. We can see the Dead Sea from here, and the Judean desert, 900 meters above sea level, 960, and you're invited.
Thank you, Simcha. Thank you, Rabbi Finkelshir, for allowing us a few minutes of overtime. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we do. Simcha, we hope to hear from you in a year with the advancement that you made. Thank you, Yossi, Laila Tov, Boker Tov to Simcha. Get some sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Akiva.
It's all yours.
Okay.
Take it away, Meyer.
All right, Daniel, are you on? Daniel's on.
Meyer. Myra, can we
Yeah.
go to another room? If we have a conflict, like, yeah, next time, like 20 minutes late, can we like start in room B or something and not start in room A, even look at Phil, start somewhere else?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask Yosy to start moving me around because
Yeah.
I haven't mastered that yet. But
Peter, are we boring you? Is it a
Why
problem?
do you always come on? Why do you always give me flack every time I come on? Your show was over.
Yeah, they always ask the questions.
By the way,
just ask the question.
By the
Peter.
way, Akiva, how do you spell the vacuum?
The wrong way. Why?
Akiva, I am so happy you're on because you take some of the flack off my shoulders, please.
Yeah.
With pleasure.
It's more so Peter
This
can let out the
show-
stress before the year starts.
Please.
I am thrilled.
You're looking for a joke. Yes, you want a joke before
Oh,
we
you
start.
want a joke? He's
I thought that's what
making
you were
demands.
doing.
The show, by the way, Reb Daniel, is about Noise B'Olim Chaveroi. There are Yidden out there who are pursuing things of the highest order, fighting on our behalf, and the least I can do is to give them the time of day or night to be Noise B'Olim Chaveroi. Right? Isn't that the point of it all?
Akiva, you're 100% right. I was listening in a little bit that I tuned in from 8 o'clock on. It's Vorm Shaltam. He's fighting for the future of Yahadus and Eretz Yisrael.
Right?
He's the Ben Shapiro of Israel.
Yeah, he's great. He is great, and he's up and coming. And one day he's going to be a minister of Knesset. And he works very closely with the Rabbanim in Bnei Brak. He's a frum guy. His parents lived in Bnei Brak.
Yeah. No, Akiva, if you keep on having him on, his chances will be better. We're going to give him support in Toronto.
He's got Peter's vote.
But listen, Yosef Zalman, now that you're on, I also have to ask you, Mechila, because when I say something la halacha and the Ilm says they're going to call the Rav, I tell them, please tell them that Yosef Zalman said it, not